Hey, it's Julala here. I'm using the new Satyr Legs from Jinx, and I thought it might be useful to just do a little video to show about adjusting your shape to make them look kind of the coolest they can be. I don't include shapes with them because if I did, then it would change your face shape, and I don't think anybody wants that. So it's better to kind of have a little play around with the legs and find a shape that suits you. Now with horse rumps, actually, the kind of rounder they are, the better. When we look at these pictures here of these horses, when we find one that's a bit skinny, which, you know, perhaps normally we might think, oh, muscular, you know, not fat, but actually with horses, if their rumps are not rounded, if they're sort of sunk in, then they look a bit scrawny. So we want this nice rounded rump look. So that's what we're going to sort of try and achieve today. This is the Maitreya version of the legs, and you can see I've made a kind of quite nice rounded rump look. So what I'm going to do, you'll have to forgive what happens to my face. I'm going to create a new shape, a standard shape. So I'm going to go into edit outfit, and we're going to make a new shape. I don't know what that's going to make my face look like. Yeah, not great. So this is the standard new shape, and you can see, you know, it doesn't look quite as rounded as it did before. She's quite long. It looks okay actually. It doesn't look bad, but we can make it look better. And if you're with your human shape, if you're normally quite slender, then that's just going to look a bit weird with these. You can see if I start to move these sliders down and put less sort of muscle, so which you might have done with your human shape, things like the leg muscles, you know, I mean, if we start going this then there's something wrong with our satyr. They're rather emaciated, okay, because like I say, with horses we don't want them really to look like that. Well, I don't anyway, so I thought maybe I would help you come up with a good shape. So to start with, height is quite important, and leg length. Let's just put this back to some kind of normal midpoint. It's about proportion as well. If you have your legs too long, and remembering that only certain bones in the legs will lengthen with the sliders, okay. If we make the legs too long and the height too tall, we can see that the legs become very out of proportion, okay. Particularly this part between what would be the horse's knee and the hock joint, okay, looks very strange, very thin and long. I mean, each to their own. If you like that look, go for it, but it's not perhaps the look that a lot of people would want. They want that kind of rounded horse rump look. So we're just going to bring that into the middle, the height, just for now. Body thickness, you know, you can play around with that. It's somewhere in the middle is actually fine. Again, body fat, again, it's very personal preference. It was on 0. Let's put it maybe, I don't know, on 20. The other thing I find with the sliders is that a lot of people are very sort of, you know, it's all or nothing. Oh, look, you know, is it, and sort of very hard with their sliding, and it can be about just moving it sort of a couple. With these legs, the leg muscles can be really helpful in giving that rounded look, so I put those quite high. Let's just put her, move around a little bit, there we go. and I often put the legs somewhere in the middle, the leg length in the middle. Hip width, well, that will depend really. They are quite wide legs, so if they're sort of touching in the middle or they look strange, then, you know, like so, then you might want to make them a little bit wider. Hip length will make quite a bit of difference to the shape of sort of around the bum area. If you make that hip length too small, then you'll end up with this sort of weird pointy bottom look. If you make it too long, then it just kind of looks a little bit stretched out. So hip length can be somewhere in the middle. Okay. Now butt size you can play around with. If you go too extreme, it does sort of look a bit weird, but again, somewhere in the middle would probably work fine. Saddlebags, okay, so that's the sort of width of the hips again, it affects. Let's get her facing frontwards. It's better. So you can take those out, but again, if you go to extremes, it will look a bit strange. So I'm going around 40 there. The knee angle, you can sometimes improve the shape a little bit. Again, if the legs are getting too close, it depends what other sliders you've moved around, but you might want to move those legs further apart. You see that it sort of moves the thighs out, because normally the knee would be down here somewhere, and I've moved the knee joint up here because that's where it would be on a horse. So you know, you can move those out, which actually kind of looks quite nice on these. So I kind of make them a little bit bow-legged. On the female version of these legs, the foot size doesn't make any difference. On the male one, it does. And the reason I didn't do it on the female is when I went to include the foot volume slider, it actually didn't, it just made the feet look weird. They are a different shape on the female to the male. And it worked well on the males, but didn't work well on the females, so I left it. On the torso sliders, your love handles here can kind of give some extra thickness to the middle part of you, but again, you know, that's personal preference. And similarly with the belly, okay, that up to you what you do there. Torso length can make quite a difference. You know, you can see that looks, you know, very sort of stretched out in the middle, and that looks very quite squashed in the middle if I take it right down. So again, somewhere in the middle probably is okay. And those are pretty much the sliders that we need. And you can see that there we go, is nice, quite nice chunky look. So that was using the leg sliders, okay, the torso sliders, and the body sliders. Okay, just have a little play around with those. Okay, so I'm going to do the same now. I've just put that standard shape back on her, so let's just put the shape that I had on there. There we go. I'm going to do the same process with the male, because that might be a bit different. Let's have a go with Jake to start with. Okay, so again, we need a little bit of kind of volume in these legs for them to look kind of strong. Okay, even if you're used to a sort of slender body type, if you make those legs look too slender, they're not going to look lean, they're going to look emaciated. Because horses need body fat, you know, they need that kind of muscle and body fat to make them look nice and rounded. Let's put a colour on that's a little bit more easy to see. So again, let's just do the same and make a new shape, new standard shape. Let's see what it looks like. So here we go. This is much smaller, isn't it? But actually it's in proportion. It's not bad proportions, the standard shape. His hair's hovering above his head. So if you do want that sort of more slender look with your satire, male satire, you know, looks like go for those standard sliders would work quite well. Again, personally, I feel that increasing the leg muscles does give it that sort of rounded look on the leg. Again, don't make your legs too long if you can help it. You can go up a little bit and it looks still fine. And actually for the male legs, I actually moved the hock joint even higher than the female because I know males like to be a little bit taller. So you can a little bit more with the male legs, go a little bit longer with those legs without it looking so out of proportion. So you can actually go quite tall without it looking as stretched as it did on the female one, because the female bodies don't tend to go as tall. Now if we want to sort of really make him lean, I would still recommend giving him some kind of roundness in this area. So let's just have a look at, we did the leg muscles. I'm going to bring those legs down a little bit. You might want to bring his hip breadth out a tiny bit. Again, that hip length is probably good in the middle. Let's turn him to the side. He could do with a bit more bum, you see. So let's just give him a little bit, and again, don't go crazy to like, oh no, it doesn't work. It's like just a little bit. Take it into the middle. Let's get him facing forward again, and have a look at these saddlebags. These are maybe not things you would normally do with your human shape, but this is not a human, it's a satyr. Again, you can see the foot size. That's what I was talking about on the male. It will get bigger, so you can make those a little bit more chunky. You might want to, where's the love handles? You might want to bring those out a little bit. So you can have a slender looking body with the satyr legs, but just remember, horses don't get slender, they get thin, And if you look at a stallion, he's got a lovely rounded bottom. So let's fatten him up a bit and see what he looks like. Let's give him those muscly legs. Let's go back over here. I'm going to give some body thickness. That helps a lot. And I'm not going right up to the top, look, it's only into the middle. Give him a little bit, maybe, don't want to give him a paunch. Again, torso, let's have a look here. Torso muscles, give him a little bit, not really, perhaps a little bit broader shoulders. And that's about proportion. Obviously, me adjusting the shoulders isn't going to change the legs at all, but it's about body proportion. Torso length's all right in the middle. Bring those down a little bit. Do we want to give him a bit of belly? No, not really. A little tiny bit. Okay, let's just turn him round. There we go. Little bit more bum. just noticed that actually there's a bit of alpha not quite right at the front there, so it's just do that. That should look better. And there we go. Oh, needed the other sides as well. There we go. So there we go. Now he's looking a bit more sturdy. Obviously the shape that I had on him was probably even more so. There we go. See, so proportion wise, for a horsey chap, he's looking a bit more chunky. Now, aesthetic, you're going to probably going to go rank it up a little bit more, because the upper body on aesthetic is going to be quite chunky. So you're probably going to, in terms of proportion, you're going to want him to be fairly chunky down below as well. In fact, this is the shape that I'd made for him, but actually it could go even further. He'd perhaps look a little bit taller again. Let's really chunk him up a little bit. Let's just move him round to the front. And we'll give him bigger feet. So there we go. The male version of the Satyr Legs obviously are less hippie than the female, but we still want him to have some good body condition in those legs. Okay, I hope that helped. Just have a play with it. Find the shape you like, and don't expect that your normal human shape is going to be perfect for Satyr legs. Horse legs are different to human legs. They're meant to be. Have fun with it.